Stephanie. Thank you for coming on She Shares. I wanted to invite you because I've seen that you've gone through a very uh, big journey of change.
Mhm.
And I thought it'd be interesting because this is where we get the juicy part of life, the changes and transitions. So maybe can you just introduce yourself and maybe just tell me three things that throughout that journey have led you to where you are today?
Okay. Well, firstly, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to share with you and on the podcast, and hopefully, um, be just sharing the story that other women know that they're not alone in whatever they're going through. Right.
Mhm.
So let's back it up. So, who am I? My name is Stephanie Parague, and I was born in Jamaica, and I moved to Switzerland. I think about 25, 26 years ago. In between, I lived in New York. I did my studies in New York. I spent some time back in Jamaica again. And um, yeah, talking about the transformation journey, I'm still on it, which is pretty cool. Right. So I have no idea where I'll end up, but at the moment, it's been pretty fantastic to um, look back and see the from all of the experiences, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and where my current playground is. Yeah.
And so in that journey so far, what would you say are three things that have led you to where you're standing right now?
Yeah. So three things. Um, One of them, I had to think about it this morning. Sort of, what do I say? What do I not say? Well, one of them is is actually my grandmother and my mother.
Mhm.
And it's probably my great grandmother and beyond that, right? I've been very fortunate to come from a range, a generation or generations of women who have always been about two things: evolving for
Mhm.
themselves and contributing to the community. And that's been stories that have been told by my mother, also about my grandmother, has been just like the key core reference point that I always come back to. Right. So that
Mhm.
generational storytelling and who we are as women, as the Parag woman, that's one. The other one is, I guess, sort of integrated into that. And again, going back to my childhood, my parents have always said like education is so important. And
Mhm.
even though they weren't themselves highly educated, they knew the importance of it. And so I grew up learning, loving to learn, right? And it's almost a little bit dangerous for me to get interested in a topic because because I'm reading everything about it. Or I love
Yeah,
research, and it's
I
always
understand.
yeah. And there's always a challenge of like when do you start researching and start the doing, right? Start implementing so you see an impact. It's one of my key values to have that love of learning. Yeah, and that
Mhm.
is the second one. And I think the third one is something I keep learning over and over again of being patient with myself. Um, because I've made mistakes where I haven't been patient and the outcome is
Yeah.
not usually the best one. Patience and grace, and just like know that um you're on the path for a reason, even though it might be hard in the moment, and trust. I'm going to say trust the process, but trust yourself as well.
Yeah. And I think that is like such of a struggle for women in general.
Yeah.
Be patient and graceful with ourselves because I don't really why, we're so like we need to make it like now, but I do see that this is something, it's a pattern that we all carry for some reason. And I'm like trying to see where does it come from because I would like my daughter not to have that.
Right.
But it is something that we're very demanding with ourselves and
Yeah.
sometimes very hard. So
Yeah.
so yeah, and let me ask you, how did those because I think that something that came across to me very strongly is that it's that confidence, and I feel that that confidence of where you're standing today with who you are and so on, and being okay in this transition has come through, like you said, the generations of women that have been in your family. But how has that been transmitted to you? Eh,
I think a couple of ways. I've seen my mother in particular model that behavior.
Okay.
Um, she has, I had no idea how wise my mom was until I got a little bit older. Because like when you're a teenager, you're like, yeah, 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 mom, like you're just stifling me, like that mom daughter fight with my mother. But there was always this. My mom had this quiet wisdom as I was growing up. And as I became a mom myself and we started exchanging more stories and then we had more adult to adult conversations, I
Mhm,
started to realize that my mom is an amazing stoic in the sense of the philosophy, right? So she
mhm,
told me the other day, for example, and she just turned 80. She's just celebrated. She told me
mhm,
the other day, she's always had a "I don't care" box, right? And it sounds like initially when you hear it, you're like, "Wow, that's so cold." But when you
mhm,
think about the things that we are faced every day in life, right? Like you cannot always care. Like
mhm, mhm,
you'd be running on empty every day. And I think for us as women, like you hear the story and then you go, "Oh, I want to help." Right?
mhm.
There's one to help that is
Yeah.
half people pleasing or a third people pleasing, a third maybe going towards self-sacrifice and martyrdom. And there's a third in there of, okay, then I can control the outcome, right?
Mhm,
And
mhm,
how to step back from that and go like, it goes in my I don't care box. Yeah. And it's really, I've seen my mom do that in her job. She was working in the hotel industry for a long time. You can care, but you have to also know your boundary, right? So
mhm,
I would see her say to people in her work, like, yes, we can talk about it, or yes, I can come in for the extra hours, or no, I don't have time. No, I have to have um my days off so I can recharge. Yeah. So I've seen her model that behavior. I also have some really great friends, female friends and male friends alike, who have experienced that as well. And also we talk about the struggle of like, yeah, we have the knowledge, but oh, for God's sake, why do we keep making the same mistake? Right. And
yeah.
it's like, the confidence is here now in this
Yeah.
session right now. But like check me 2 days ago when I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna have to make this presentation. How do I speak from a place of strength? And you
Mhm.
do all your planning and scheming, and then you're there in the moment, and it's like, oh shit. I don't feel as confident as I was planning to. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it comes back to, yeah, confidence. Also grace if you feel a bit nervous. And I know that that's also human, right? There's
Mhm.
nothing wrong. The two things can coexist. Yeah.
Yeah.
And not pressuring ourselves to be perfect anything. I do think there's a systemic issue with how girls have been raised and maybe in some cases continue to be raised of eh, be the good girl, be the one, go after the praise, go after, don't be the one that upsets anyone, that sort of thing. And to come back to my mom's do not care box, it's not that you're sort of the angry bee going around like making sure everyone's annoyed and knows what you stand for, but you can do it. A phrase I use in my coaching program and for myself for a long time is powerful peace and peaceful power, right? Like how do you stay in that space peacefully? How do you
Mhm.
make peace as a power? Like you have nothing. If once you get to the point where you realize you have nothing to prove to anyone.
Mhm.
So freeing. It's so freeing because then you can really come back to your authentic self and
Yeah.
still have empathy towards the people around you, right? It's this balancing
Yeah.
act. You have your boundaries, and boundaries are not just tell you, don't say this to me. And the boundaries say to myself, when the person says something to me, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, hey, not okay, right?
Mm, mm, mm.
Boundaries are actually about how you manage yourself, not how you manage other people.
Other people. But
Yeah.
I think, I mean, that boundary set and that, yeah, that confidence is it's so, I almost wanna say it's so basic, somehow, and per se easy when you just, like, look at it, but it can be such of a struggle, of accepting and saying, "Yeah, no, this is," like, validating a bit,
Yeah.
like, when you're doing that of, like, and again, I'm like, "But why? Like, why can't we feel that? Why can't we feel it as if we're, like, going against something or
Yeah.
someone
Yeah.
or, yeah."
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I can tell you probably 101 stories of my struggle as I went through my I call my different phases like different phases of puberty. Like it's not just teenager. I don't know how many puberty phases I've gone through, but imagine like there's this cocoon that you go into every now and then, like something major happens, or there's a heartbreak, or there is a death in the family, or something like that. And it shakes your world, right? And who you are and what you know is normal. And that has really deep impact on how you see the world and how you see yourself in the world. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm going to reference my mom probably way too many times in this conversation. But there is this thing around, okay, so I don't feel confident right now, or I'm really scared about confronting this person about something they did. Or, several conversations that I've had in the work environment where it's just unpleasant. Right? Like, if
Mhm.
you don't sleep for several nights before, maybe you're nowadays like where or on ChatGPT say, what's the best way to speak to our manager about this topic?
Yeah.
Um, trying to get as much information as possible. And I think like the thing that I've learned is, yes, it's painful. Yes, it's tough. Yes, you have sort of PSTD after having these conversations. It takes time, and
Yeah.
the deeper the value you carry that is being, um that is misaligned, the more painful it is, right? And that to know that that's part of your evolution, it doesn't necessarily make it easier, but it makes you understand a little bit more why it's happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you
But
need to go through it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it makes me think about like a moment in my journey where I was working in a company and it was a very family based company and the CEO was very present.
Yeah.
And he was the type of CEO where he would one day it's A and tomorrow it's B, basically, and you have to make the switch immediately. And I remember I was in charge of like managing like the ink workload, and so I had to tell him no. And when they gave me that job, I told him like, yeah, but if I accept, then you will hear no from me because sometimes it's just not possible.
Hmm.
And he was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think I was so, like, often saying no to him that
Yeah.
he started saying that he wasn't happy with my job and that he was annoyed and so on.
Mhm.
And people somehow people started talking and people start coming in saying, "Hey, apparently he wants to fire you," or apparently he's not happy with this.
Yeah.
And I got so annoyed because I was like, why aren't you saying it to my face? Like, why? And I remembered I was like getting more and more annoyed. And then I was like, I need to confront him.
Yeah.
But that moment of me saying, I need to confront him and doing it, like, was so like I was shaking so much because there's this form of authority, but at the same, it was going so much against my values of
Yep.
like, dude, just tell me, just be honest, like
Yeah.
we can talk. And you're like the freaking CEO, like, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's so true what you were saying because and that moment I was so scared,
Mhm.
but it was so uncomfortable that I couldn't like not say something.
Yeah.
And I remember I cried before going into work because I was so worried and like I didn't have ChatGPT at the time to be like, hey, so if I yeah, I could do this and do that or say this. Like, I was speaking to my husband, and my husband is so like detached from stuff like that. I was like, you don't understand the emotional part here.
Yeah, yeah.
That one-
But you've hit the nail on the head there as well, right? And I think that's what my mom talks about, like this I don't care box. It's how do you
Mm,
practice detachment as well? Because
mm.
um we get so emotionally involved in everything that's around
Yes.
us.
Yes.
Look, and it can be a strength, but it becomes our Achilles heel when we don't have a dial that we can turn and go,
Mm,
like, tap yourself on the shoulder and, hey, like you're being too much or you're caring too much, or
mm, mm.
and you zoom out and see the forest instead of just the one tree for a minute.
Yeah.
Like, what's the long term effect on this thing? And you mentioned authority, and that's something that I also had to learn. Like, how do you, as a young woman that's growing up like that, that's had authority and authoritarian and authoritative, whatever version of the authority
Yeah.
they want to define, where you're held either to a high standard, or it's about sold as discipline, or it's sold as
Mhm.
culture, whatever label, like we've learned as children, right? Like this, when you read around child psychology, it goes deep. And now that's in our subconscious from 3 to 5 to 10 years old, right? Then we show up 30 something in a hierarchical environment, corporate environment, and there's a question of, okay, how are the others behaving? And then
Mhm.
the question, when you do the work, you start to realize, how am I contributing to this?
Mm, absolutely.
Go into a meeting, for example, feeling like the authority figure is a 9 or a 10 and you're a 5. Because if you have those ranking in your subconscious, you're already
Mhm.
going to treat them, uh, in a different way than if you say, okay, let's have adult to adult conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wiring of how you see the world is really, really important. So that, there's this rap song, like, check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Wait, well, I climb, but I don't remember anymore in detail. There's this, there's this really this journey that we all have the opportunity to go on, and I'm intentionally using those words to say, like, okay, like, what are we? Whose permission are we waiting for to show up in
Yeah.
the world as we are? Like, who needs to say it's okay,
Mm,
right? And like, what I found, and I'm going to sound really obnoxious now, is that no one. I don't need
mm,
anyone else's permission. Like, I need to be able to sit with myself
absolutely.
and all the edges and all the hurt and all the pain and all the joys and all the experiences, whether it's with family or with relationships, the ex-boyfriends, all the lessons there, with your current partner, with your own children.
Yeah.
Like, what's your relationship with yourself?
Mm,
Like, do you like yourself? Like, what do you I'm gonna be one of my newsletters soon. It's like, if you would write a love letter to your younger self, what would that look like? Oof. Yeah, exactly, right? Like, if it means there's an assumption there that you love yourself. Well, what does that look like? Like, what does that mean with the I know who I am, I love who I am?
yeah.
And it doesn't mean you need to love every aspect. There are tons of stuff I'm still working on.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a continuous work in progress.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
be okay with that, and know that for every relationship that you have, you are part of how that relationship operates, right?
Yeah, of course,
There,
yeah.
there is there's you, there's the other person, and then there's this in between of where both parties are coexist. We call it the third entity of, like, the relationship itself.
Mm, mm, mm.
How are you operating in that space? Like, what in your mind is directing your behaviors? And there's a lot around how we grew up as children, what sort of relationship we had with our parents, or our caregivers, whoever they are.
Mm.
Um, really cool to read around attachment theory. Like, are
Yeah.
are you anxious because, like, it's when you were a kid, the parents were like come and go and like they give you the love when they're there, but like when they're going, is that love coming back? Or
Yeah.
are you
Yeah.
on the other side, dismissive, avoidant, where you like, okay, you were praised because you're independent and never asked for the love. And so guess what? You show up in the world 30, 40, 50, 60 years old going, I don't need anybody because that's what you learned as a child. That was what was
Yeah.
forced, right? It's like I think you really have to do the work
Yeah.
at your own pace, in your own unfolding. I think that's the key to get to the confidence of being able to write a love letter to your younger
To
self,
you and yourself. Yeah.
or even to write
Absolutely.
your self.
Yeah.
That a big one. Yeah.
But you know what? I think it's also like, and I see it and I'm like, I don't know, like the start of the year, I've been like observing a lot and I see that it's also something you need to say, okay, I'm gonna go on that discovery
Yeah.
before doing before entering the job, like the work of like, okay, this
Oh,
part, it comes from there. This is my love attachment. This is like the patterns from my youth. I really think you need to want and have that curiosity to
yeah.
go into that journey. And I see that a lot of people are like they kind of want to, but they don't want to, you know? 'Cause they're like, "Oh,
It's
yes,
scary.
yes, yes." And then they're like, "Okay, I'm not gonna go too deep because damn, and that's
Yeah. Yeah.
dark or there."
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, if you're a very structured person, then yeah, it's like, okay, from 1st of January 2027, I'm going to start looking into, taking care of myself, or I'm going to start doing self reflection, whatever. Here's the thing. I think the lessons, my experience, is the lessons are always showing up. In this conversation right now, there are lessons for both of us.
Yeah.
How we're showing up in the call, whoever is going to, for all the people that are going to listen to this podcast,
Mm.
something is happening. Now, I think
Yeah.
there's a question of, and again, I learned this the hard way. What are we paying attention to?
Yes,
And things like
absolutely.
social media versus blah blah blah, and how much screen time. I was like, I
Yeah.
feel like, and again, I only know this now. I feel like we're always getting little taps on the shoulder from, let's call it a universe. I'm not like the esoterical thing, but it's just like there are always lessons showing up.
Yeah.
The question is, are we looking the opposite way? Are we charging to the next thing? Are we
Mm.
pretending we don't see it because it's a hard lesson to learn? Like, hey, Stephanie, like you didn't get that conversation right. What the hell's wrong with you?
Mm, mm,
Right?
mm, mm.
Or the harsh words that you use just hurt that person. You could see it in their eyes. Like, what are you doing? Right?
Yeah.
Or the one of, which is quite common for women and for me as well, I'm still challenging and working with it, is why didn't you speak up? Why didn't
Yeah.
you say, you hurt me? Or why didn't you say, I gave everything in this relationship to make it work. Why are you, where's your part in this?
Yeah.
Or their manager, like to your example, no, I can't do this. Or you're putting too much pressure on me. Or like, like those sort of opportunities
Mhm.
to evolve,
Yeah. No, I really see it
grow,
like that.
always there. But
Yeah,
like that's
absolutely.
where our attention is. We feel, or I feel, and I used to feel like there's this time pressure or urgency that we put on ourselves.
Mm.
Right. Oh no, okay, I've got only 1 hour to do this one thing and I'm gonna run to the next thing. The corporate world doesn't help, right? Because of all of the
Yeah.
tight timelines and imagined urgencies that sometimes show up in our calls, our meetings.
Yeah.
And so I think if anyone wants to make one small step towards this connection to self, it's just find 10, 15 minutes once a week to reflect. Like,
Yeah.
that can be either just going for a walk. It has to be on your own because you need to turn off all the inputs that are coming in so you can process all the stuff that's sort of
Yeah.
in the corners of our brains and our minds, so with the cobwebs coming over it.
Mm.
Those, I really, really feel those are the gems, right? Like those,
Yeah. These are gems moments.
and when we look back, I mean, I can think of several situations and I look back and go, oh shit, I didn't see it. It was all there again, and I didn't.
Yeah.
In retrospect, it's all clear. Ob-
Yeah, of course.
ob-
So,
like, how do we carve out a little bit of time in our day or in our week or in our month, every time frequently we can handle, to reconnect to that self and say, okay, well, what is showing up here?
yeah.
What do I need to
What do I see?
connect?
What do I
What do I
feel?
see? What's showing up in my body? Like we're so disconnected from our bodies these days. And I say we, me as well, right? Like, but our bodies are giving us signals as well, right? Like,
Yeah.
okay, so that stomach turning thing before the meeting. Okay, you're nervous. Why? What's happening? Like, what's in that scenario is reminding you of something else that might have been a high emotional state for you. Why are we dysregulated? Because we're going to talk to another adult and be like, okay. Yes. Danger here. Yeah. And I mean, I don't want to make light of it, right? It's hard work and it's scary.
Yeah.
And I think at the same time, without it, then you kind of going walking through the world with blindfolded or with blinders on and not getting the chance to create something beautiful for yourself in a 10 to
Yeah.
minute reflection time.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
miss the magic.
You miss the magic, you miss the lesson, and you miss like the hard stuff. Because you said you wanted to talk about hard stuff as well here. um I've had stories where like the goals I was going after, I didn't reach them. And then I had to go like, "Ugh, okay, what do I do with that?" Of course, the first feeling is failure,
Mm.
right? And the close cousin of that is shame. We're like, oh shit, like people are gonna find out that this thing I was going after, I didn't get it, or the job promotion I was after,
Not
it,
happening.
it didn't happen. And then you start doing the inward negative self-talk of, I shouldn't have applied anyway. Like I wasn't qualified. Why did I even bother? Um, those are hard conversations and emotions to sit with.
Mhm.
And the one option is to just distract yourself and hold on and find the next thing or start job hunting and F them, I'm going to get out of here.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, you can. But there's something there around like, okay, why am I carrying like this shame that I'm holding on to for not being successful? What is that? Why is that happening? Who am I trying to
Impress or validate.
impress? Or like, again, the question of like, whose permission am I waiting for? Whose stamp
Yeah.
of approval to like, I'm good enough to exist in this world?
Yeah.
And there's a
Yeah.
it's of like, I know. I think there are a couple of occasions in my life where I had that and it hurts like hell. And then you have to go, then you get really, really angry at the world, or I do. And then,
Yeah. No, no.
and then you get like, okay, and now what? Right? Like you can of course live in resentment of the other person for the rest of your life. But there's this phrase of like, having resentment is like drinking the poison and hoping the other person dies. Which
Yeah, exactly.
doesn't
Yeah,
work.
it's absolutely that.
Yeah.
No, but I think that the hard moments, yeah, I really think it all comes down to the validation that you mentioned, because once you remove that, there's really like nothing. Like you're like, oh, okay, well, what do I learn from this? And
Yeah.
yes, okay. Why did that feel uncomfortable? Maybe I dig a little bit into that. or I'll just give myself a minute and then I'll come back to it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and then you just like you just move on and you're like, okay, well now what do I want to do? Do I want to continue? Yes, no. Do I want something else?
yeah.
Actually, is it really something I actually wanted? Because I also think that sometimes you're in the chase of like this like maybe promotion or evolution and at the end of the day, maybe in your personal life, things have shifted.
Mhm.
There's your elements, and actually, it doesn't make sense. And if you would have gotten it, then it would have been a shit show. So
Exactly.
it
Absolutely.
matched
And
your.
to bring these two things that we're talking about, I think it's really, really important that people understand this, right? Or at least start to process it in their heads. There's a difference between external validation and internal confidence, right? Like external validation, if we get it, it feels good in the moment. Yay, they like me. Yay, they like the presentation. Yay, he, asked me out for dinner. Whatever. What generally happens is that soon after that, like, okay, so your external validation tank gets full in that immediate moment, and then it sort of drops relatively quickly. Because like it it actually it's just the moment, right? And then so we're searching for the next hit. It's like an addiction. Like you, okay, so where else? Who needs to know I'm doing this thing so that they can praise me, so that they can tell me I'm great, that I belong, that I am doing well, I'm good enough, right? And the challenge with all of that is that one, it's not permanent. Two, it completely destroys who you think you are because of the dependency on it, right?
Mhm.
As opposed to, and like you can get the feedback, you can get the praise, and you can sit with that. You can celebrate it in the moment, but then you have to like detach, right?
Yeah,
It's just in the moment,
yeah.
and who you are is much bigger than what people think about you. Yeah. It's
No,
but
it's true, and you know what? Like, I think it. Yeah, no, it's absolutely true, and it's a confidence you grow, but it's a quiet confidence. Because that's what I like. At least personally, that's what I see. I've gone through so many different things very sad and uncomfortable. Some things that I'm like, oh my god, this is only in telenovelas, but it's actually happening. And
yeah,
and and at the end of the day, today I'm just like so glad because it has taught me so much about like who I want to be, what
yeah,
I want, and and I feel so much more confident, but not in a loud and spectacular way where when you like you say, you get that promotion and everyone like, yeah, fantastic, great, da 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 da. And
yeah,
then that fades out
yeah,
and you're like and I feel it's a bit like the artists, like they go into a concert, they get so much like they go on a tour, it's like adrenaline, dopamine, boom, 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 and then quiet
yeah, yeah, and a crash right
and
after,
a crash and a
right?
crash. And when you're like just since like almost a line and you're like, okay, this is a win, but I mean, it's a great win. Great, nice tap on the shoulder, but I'm like in peace.
Yeah,
It's okay in either way. But I think that takes a lot of work, a lot of time,
it's a
and it's
muscle
not.
that has to be built. It's a muscle that you
Yeah.
have to, and I am still trying to build it, practicing over and over again,
Mm,
right? So like, either you get the praise or you get the constructive feedback. Like,
yeah.
put it in quotes for people who are just listening, because like it is constructive. It just feels like an insult potentially, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
here comes the shame showing up. Like, oh, I didn't do as well as I could. Or the question is like, how can you sort of absorb enough of it from a knowledge perspective, but filter out for the high emotion that comes with it, right? Because you're processing it. Like you don't, like the person saying it to you might genuinely say, "Hey, the presentation that you did, it could have also included X, Y, and Z, or excluded, it was too much detail." That's good information for you to get better the next time
Mhm.
around. It's good to be able to open up. Like for God, like the word expert for me is quite funny because like who really is an expert? Like we're all just learning as
Yeah.
we go along. Many of us faking it too, right? So like again for that phrase. And so like let's strip it back. It's like, okay, what are the pieces that I can use from this information, feedback that they give you, to make your work better? Because like we want to get better at what we do, and that's a good thing. And then not make it a then self-destructive conversation between in our own minds.
Yeah.
Right? Or how you hate that person because, yeah, they're always talking negatively about like what you think is what you become. Like I genuinely believe that.
Yes, absolutely.
That's
Absolutely. Oh
like
my God, yes.
you've got to catch yourself. You got to catch
Yeah.
those saboteurs in our head that is basically like a hammer in our head saying, "See, they're right. Yes, you didn't do good
Yeah,
enough."
it's just validating whatever narrative you're having in mind, and your brain will instinctively look for
Yes.
things that will validate that. And it's like you say, it's a muscle to also build and like say, okay, okay, fine. I've seen right away what validates, but what is the other side that,
Yeah.
is
Yes.
constructive? I can take away, I can learn from it.
Yeah.
I do better somehow.
Yeah.
But there's also sorry, there's also just this thing that I'm seeing a lot, and I wanted to touch point with you because I'm seeing a lot of like clubs opening of women. And I find that amazing because I think we need to come together and all of that. But I do, and this is where, I also, for people that are listening, there's a lot of work that needs to be done, but it very often needs to start by yourself. And I see a lot of like big like clubs happening with workshops of like how to manage better your time, how especially with women and it's something I've been thinking these days of like I see those workshops of like, yeah, take back the lead of your life and manage better your time and find the resources to juggle work and life balance and family and kids and all that. And I've been to some because I'm curious and yeah, I want to learn, but I'm seeing this like massive pondering, let's say, of that. And I'm just questioning because really I've come to a point where I'm like, honestly, I don't think I'm the problem. I don't think I'm the problem of where I need to learn to manage better my time, myself, and so on. I think there's a society, the way it's been constructed that is really not good.
Yeah.
And I don't see anyone coming together and saying, let's try to make a change. But it's a constant of like, you need to make a change. And I also think that, yeah, there's a fine balance as well, and like you have to do the work, absolutely, because you need to learn who you are, what you stand for, what you're comfortable, so that you align a bit better with your values and those are and the tricky part of that is that it's a constant evolution. So it's never the same.
Yeah.
And and the other side, I'm like, yeah, like I feel it's another pressure we add on to ourselves. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, what do you think about that? Because I was just like, I was taking a step back in like an observative mode,
Yeah.
and I was just like, and see all these things, and I mean, it's amazing. Yes, we have so much, but are we really tackling the real issue here? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, how much time do you have? Because this is one of my favorite topics as well. So I think I agree with with what you've said. Like there's a systemic part, right, of how society functions. Now, where is that coming from? Right? Like we can go back in time and we know that um the people who are designing systems, processes were not women. Okay. And I'm not anti-man, but I'm definitely pro-woman. Both things to coexist. So as we grow up, and the other part of when you look at the neurology, right, of the neuroscience, how our brains work, we generally see that women function well in a communal setting, right? So I'm using a broad brush here. Of course, there are outliers, right? And men tend to be the lone hunter, if you will. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
The primitive brain, there's that wiring that comes with it. It's still there with us, and society is built on top of that, right? And then you get the story of, oh, okay, so if women want to come into the workforce, you guys have to adjust. You have to um, figure out how to fit into the environment. You have to figure out what 80% or 60 to 70%, 80% part-time work looks like so that us as a company still feel the need to hire you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
There's these there are a couple of mixed messages that are coming in like, yes, we want you, but like fit your circle into our square kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah.
And so what do you do with that? I think both things have to coexist. And it comes back to boundary setting for me for the individual, right? Like just like you said, like, okay, so I need to change, I need to adjust. Like because what? I am the evil person in this story. Like what is going on? Right. And there we have agency, right? Around
Yeah.
how we want to interact with that system. Yeah. And so both, if you think about systems thinking, it's all there. It's all moving around. One can't coexist without the other.
Mm-mm.
So for each, and this is again like why it's really important to know what your values are. So if your value is like for me, one around continuous learning, like, okay, how do I ensure that I'm expressing that value, feeding that value, growing that value within the system or environment that I work in, right? How do I know when it's not being met and what do I do about it? Because I have agency. I'm not able
Yeah.
to wait for someone to tell me, uh, you should go and do that course. You know what I mean? Like it's see, there is a idea around making sure that within the environment that we work in or that we work and live in, that we are having enough agency and enough wisdom around how that system functions.
Yeah.
And I think the boom in all of these female groups and women's groups, I think it's great
Mhm.
if you as the individual choose it in the right digestible portions, right? Like
Yeah.
extreme is usually not good. Like try eating only broccoli for a week. It's not gonna go well.
No, no, it's not gonna sit well. No, absolutely.
What's the
But
balance? It's
it
like
is a
what's the balance
question.
that you need now for the stage of life that you're in now.
Yeah.
What I need though is very different from what I needed 20 years ago. Very
Yeah.
different, right? I have kids who are older. I have more independence. I can go out on a Friday night without booking a nanny or a babysitter, right? 20 years ago, I couldn't do that. Like that was
Yeah.
why I'd sit there and dream about the life that I have now, right?
I'm trying to remember. Oh, I didn't need to ask permission to go out.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the first time we got a babysitter and we went out, I think the kids were, I don't know, 2 and 4. And no, they were younger. They were like 1 and 3. And we came back home at around we left at 7 and we got back at 10. And the babysitter is like, "Is everything okay?" And they're like, "Yeah, we're just really exhausted. We just want to go to bed, actually. We don't need a date night. We just want to sleep." Right? It's like also, like, it can be a really fun thing to do. Like, what are the stages of life that you're going through? Where are you now? Like, what does your now need?
Need.
Right? This is the cool thing about evolution because it's you get to try different things in the
Yeah.
different cocoons that you're in. And sometimes I've had to stages where it was group sessions. And after a while, I go, oh my God, I can't deal with more people. I just need some space, right? And
Required.
then I go the other extreme where like I'm sort of the lone wolf in the forest. I literally like during COVID, it was the earlier I could get out to be in the forest so I didn't have to speak to people, the better it was. Right. And then like so there's this swinging and there's this experimentation. And again, this sort of potential to connect to yourself and what do you need in that moment
Mm.
and and feed that for that
But
moment.
but that again, for me, that again is wisdom.
Mhm.
Wisdom of being open to listen to yourself and ask yourself what do you need like right now? Really, do you need those 25 courses? Do you need to walk alone in the forest? Do you need
Yeah.
a night out? Like what is it that you need?
Do you need to slow down? Because like
Yeah.
what are you running towards? Like I used to have such bad road rage. It's shameful. And I remember one case that I had, I think it was my younger son in the back of the car. We were driving to the city and there was a guy that had cut in front of me on the street, right? Like just before the bridge, just after the Uliberg tunnel. And I was so angry. I was underslept, underfed, young mom, doing full-time work. And I remember it was heavy traffic. And I remember flipping him the bird, like just like what the fuck, right? Like just what are you doing? And what he did next changed my entire approach to road rage. He pulled over, he got out of his car and started walking towards me. And I was in that moment, I was so terrified because I had no idea what this guy was going to do. Right. Like, he obviously saw that I had given him the middle finger and he didn't like that. And in that moment, my brain was like, how do I protect my child?
Mm.
All the worst case scenarios were playing out in my head.
Yeah, yeah, of course, yeah.
In the end, he turned around and he didn't even come and speak to me. He went into his car and he drove away. Right. And since then, every time there's someone who is driving slowly in front of me, driving quickly, whatever, especially slowly, because I was always in a rush, I would go, oh, look, my guardian angel is here to remind me to slow down. Right. I,
Mm.
I had to, like, why was I getting upset about this one guy that was pulling in? Because
Yeah.
I was on a tight deadline to drop my son off at kindergarten, to rush to work, to have my first meeting, to rush through the day, to rush, 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 rush.
Rush, 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 yeah.
I guarantee I wasn't listening to what my body or mind or soul needed at the time.
Mhm.
That's the juggling act of every day, right? And again, coming back to the point of slow down, even if it's for 10, 15 minutes,
Mm.
just do a bit of nothing. Like the world will not end. Your goals are not disappearing. You're not,
Yeah, but that's so hard, man.
of course. But like, oh, this is gonna sound morbid, but you're just rushing to your death.
I don't know, but it's true.
Like what about going down and enjoying the life that you have? Like it's just and really like I had to learn and I am still learning how to do this. I used to gosh, I used to run into meetings because like I'd have meetings in this when I was in corporate, like in different meeting rooms, and they'd be back to back. This is pre-COVID before we had,
Yeah.
online
Before
meetings,
you had to sit with people.
before everything was through a screen. So you had to physically change rooms,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
And I think that was with my first coach, and we talked about my relationship with time, and I always felt that I was fighting against time, that I needed to win, that I needed to get to the goal as quickly as possible. Again, like sort of blinders on, only looking at that goal. Like I take them all, but like, oh my goodness, like there's more to my life than this one thing that I'm chasing every
Yeah.
day. Yeah. And I gave myself this exercise of walking to the next meeting. But I literally used to run. And it was the hardest thing to do to get my mind and my body to slow down because, like, it was like, this is wrong. This is if you're right. Like, if I show up 5 minutes later, what does that say about me and how seriously I take the topic? Guess what I was after? Validation, right? Because, uh, you know, sacrificing myself and going after this thing to prove to someone somewhere that I belonged.
Yeah.
And now, now it's very different. I said to you at the beginning, hey, we booked an hour and a half, but I blocked 2 hours in my calendar because I don't want to rush.
To rush. Yeah.
Yeah. And for what? Like, you miss out on all the sweet stuff, all the gems, all the
You're not fully present as well.
you're
That's
not
what I noticed.
exactly. Exactly. And you go to the gym and so you're like you're looking at the messages I used to messages my friends are sending or like just say, okay, I'm at the gym and I'm only at the gym in that moment. Yeah, and you don't have to
Oh,
do it all the time, but
no,
couple
but a few
more
more
minutes
minutes.
where you're monotasking. See what that feels like. It's gonna feel horrible at the beginning.
Hard. It's so hard. You know what? I go through that this like right now. On Wednesdays, I have my son with me,
Yeah.
and oh my god, I find it so hard. I find it so hard to not do the other stuff I have to do that I'm like usually on doing,
Yeah.
and I'm like, and yeah, it's really it's something you need to practice because it's really hard. Like I see it and at the same time he makes it somehow easier for me because he's obviously constantly in demand because
Yeah.
he's young. But it's so hard to just
Yeah.
like
So
be present,
yeah.
not
Just
worry.
in Buddhism, there's this thing called the last time meditation.
Yeah.
And really morbid, but gives you some perspective. Imagine if next Wednesday is the last Wednesday you'll have with your son ever.
No, no, you make the most out of it.
And like, and see, like the first reaction is to laugh about it, right? Because like, of course it's not, but it might be, right?
Mm,
And sit with that for a minute. What if that next Wednesday is the last time you'll spend your son? Whether it's your passing or his passing or whatever happens, right? And see, like I can see it in your face already, the sadness.
I
Um,
yes. I'm like, "Oh my god, no."
right. Exactly. So next Wednesday morning when you wake up, it's a challenge to you and anyone else who's listening to this, something similar, especially with their loved ones, right? Like say to yourself, this may be the last day I have, last Wednesday that I have with him. How do I want to intentionally spend that time? How do I make the best use of that time? How do I make the best memories? Have the best experience connecting, like truly, truly connecting, not
Connecting, yeah.
then I used to multitask through my mother, my as a young woman as well. So I get it, right? Like there's so many things you need to do. Again, rush, rush, rush. Like, what if you're really like you're feeding him and you go, oh, how does that taste? Like, what does it taste like? Like, teach him to connect to the moment as well
Mhm.
while you are being fully present with him.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't think, well, I don't know how it will work out for you. It's hard in the beginning because you're retraining this sort of wiring that we have, right? It's just like, why would I want to do anything else when this is the last Wednesday I've spent with my son or with my mom or with my partner or whatever, or with my closest friends? Like, what are you paying attention to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the intention as well. I think that is also something that
Yeah.
we need to practice a bit more is the intention. But no, absolutely. And it's like I hear you say it and there is things that I think of and I'm like, and I catch myself, rushing and I'm like, hey girl, chill.
Like, what's wrong with you? Like, what
So
is it? What are you running to? Like,
exactly, and I'm, like, genuinely trying to be but yeah, I just think it's a dynamic, but yeah, no, definitely. It's something I'm trying or also, like and it's so funny because it was actually this Wednesday, there was so much, like, I don't know, noise and so on, and we were in the car, and I said to my son, "Okay, we're not gonna put music, no stories, I want silence." And my son was like, "No, but mom, the story, and then I was like, "No, no, it's 10 minutes ride, 10
yeah,
minutes of silence."
yeah,
And it was so funny because he was like, was really not he did not want to be in silence. And I was like, "Why don't you want to be in silence?"
yeah,
And he's like, "It hurts my mind."
yeah. Wow.
And I was like, "Wow, this is so
Another interesting
powerful."
data point.
Exactly. I was like, "What do you mean it hurts your mind?" And he's
Oh,
like, "Yes, it hurts my mind." And
yeah,
I'm like, "But is there noise or like" and I was like trying to understand and like obviously he's gonna be sick, so it was really
yeah.
hard for to get more than it just hurts my mind. But then I was like, oh my God.
I
I
think you're
thought
speaking on behalf of humanity there, right? Like, it hurts our minds when it's like it's just quiet. There's no input coming in because guess what? Then you're gonna hear yourself.
exactly. And I literally that's what I said. I was like, but don't you hear your own voice? And
But
he's like, what? And then I was like, okay, I was like,
he's only 6.
yeah, I'm like, we'll try again in like 2 years, maybe.
Yeah, but think about us as adults, right? Like when I don't know how many people practice meditation, and I don't do it regularly enough. Um, but often enough, and I have spaces where it was like, oh, this is the best thing ever, and it's the idea of sitting still. First challenge, physically, just sitting in one place. Like, what can't
No
I just
moving.
send a quick message to so and so? No, you can't. Okay, that's the rule of the game. And the second thing, which I don't think people are getting right, is like you're supposed to quiet your mind. Like, no, not really. You're supposed to observe your mind, right?
Mm, mm, mm.
But and I think your son is brilliant for saying it hurts my mind because like initially you had like a million and one thoughts running through your head. I don't remember the stats anymore of the number of internal thoughts and decisions we make each day.
Yeah, major.
Right. And that while running around and sort of beat the traffic and get to work on time and run to the next meeting. It's like when do you give your brain or your mind time to just be, to process what needs to be processed?
Mm,
Or to go like, "Okay, let me just breathe right now." It's super
yeah,
hard because that's not what how our society says, 1, we should be, and 2, define as success, right? So you're swimming upstream against all the systemic messages that come through. And to hone in on, for women, we are labeled as multitaskers. We're labeled as the primary caregiver at home. We're labeled as
mm,
um, the ones who will always support the organization or contribute, but not too much because then that's going to upset the powers that
yeah,
like
never right,
never
never
right.
right. So it's
Exactly. And I come back to my mom's do not care box. It's just there. You cannot care about everything while still taking care of yourself. It's just I've
it's
never
not
been able to
possible.
do it. I've tried several times. I've failed miserably several times, usually at the cost of my own well-being. Right.
Mm,
And there's my mom has this line where she would always say, this is not a suicide mission. It's
mm,
not. When are we gonna accept? Like you don't have to self-destruct to get to your goal. You don't have to
mm,
self-destruct to take care of other people. You don't have to self-destruct to be successful. You don't have to self-destruct to be an amazing mom or friend or partner or sister or whatever. Like it's not about this is again coming back how you could tie it back to confidence at the beginning. When you realize it's not about the others and the validation but instead like finding this balance range and balancing range
mm,
in the current stage that you're at. It will change, but in that current stage, like, what do you need? What do you need? Who are you
yeah,
when you're not
yeah,
helping everybody else?
yeah,
Yeah. Like, and that's a real, again, like, that's the love letter question. Like, it's so hard. Like, holy shit, like, who am I when I'm not helping,
yeah,
not supporting whoever is in your life?
yeah.
Like,
No, I think that's really hard. That's really hard. But also, I think it's also very hard because it's a constant evolving.
mhm,
I almost want to say identity, and that's really not something. At least that I'm realizing it's not something people, or like in general, it's not something that is talked about. How your identity is going to constantly be shifting and evolving throughout the different life stages, throughout the different traumas, happy, sad moments, and tests of life. And I think that we should talk a bit more of that because it's okay to have that identity shift
absolutely.
and yeah, and I look in retrospect, I mean, I see and I'm like, yeah, I've had so many different moments where my identity shifted somehow and it wasn't really aligned with what I was doing or what with people. And so then I was doing other stuff and then slowly you move from a group of people, a work position or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, we should validate that a bit more that it's part of the journey.
It's part of the journey, and that life is messy. Life is, you can have the best plan, the best intention, the best sort of goal setting, valid, like you could have it written down on your vision board. Yeah. And then life happens and you're like, okay, what do I do with this thing now?
Yeah,
This plot twist.
yeah,
I give you one example. Like when I had my first son, I went down to 80%. I had 1 day from home, working from home, 1 day
okay.
off, and the other 3 days in the office. And when I had my second son, my husband and I, we had a conversation. It's like, okay, like working from home with two young kids, it's not working from home. I want to be fair to the company. I want to be fair to the kids. So I contacted while I was still on maternity leave, I contacted my HR department and I made the suggestion 80% in the office, 20% off. Yeah. So 1 day off per week. And the HR manager at the time, this was in 2006. So hopefully things have changed by now. He said to me, um, oh, thanks for the information. But what your manager wants is someone who is working 100%, not 80. And I can tell you, I got off that phone and cried my eyes out. Right? I had been working for that company for 5, 6 years, had my first son, everything had gone well. With the second one, when I said, okay, I'll come back at 80%, the same percentage as before.
Yeah, yeah,
I was told, well, no, like we want someone who's 100%. And if you can't do that, then you can't do that. Right. And I went through such a spiral, it was such a kick in the face that I thought I had given a lot to the company. Here comes
mhm,
my next phase of life, where instead of it being a mom of one, I was a mom of two. I wanted to keep my career going, right? Um, and this is a side story of my mother and grandmother saying, never lose your financial independence as a woman, never,
mm,
right? And so, like, after a couple days of crying, you know, I, I, I went back to, it wasn't the manager that said it, was the HR guy. And I went back to the manager and we discussed it. And in the end, it was fine, right? I did go back at 80%, um, with two kids, but it hit my confidence so
mm,
much. Like, when I was back in the office, it's like, okay, no, I've got to take the kids to kindergarten first. It means I can skip first or daycare. Um, then I can only show up at 9 o'clock, right? So, and I'm exhausted because one of them won't sleep or one of them will be sick, right?
yeah, yeah,
And
something, yeah,
I try to do my best job during the day, and then I have to leave by about 4:35 to pick them up to get home to do my third shift, right?
mm,
that was a really, really messy, exhaustive period in
Mhm.
my life. Not once did I think, "Oh, I should sit and reflect." So someone had
True.
told me that back then, I would have just told them, "Go to hell." Okay, like, but I have not. I don't even have
True.
time to
That's
go through the neural
absolutely true.
system to reflect.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're absolutely
The
right.
lessons I've learned, like, I'm not saying I should have, but if I had known the benefits of 10, 15 minutes of stepping back for a bit, I mean, I'd go to the gym and I'd try my best to do the balancing act, but it was just super hard. Yeah.
Mm,
And so, like, sometimes you don't get it right all the time, and that's okay. It doesn't make you less of anything. Quite the
yeah.
opposite. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes you more, yeah, I don't know. You're just, yeah, more fulfilled somehow
Yeah.
in the good and the bad. But I do think that it's something that I know that, for example, like it's only when my daughter hits like 18 months and
Right?
closing to 2 that I felt that I could see the light again.
Mhm.
That I was able to be like, okay, I like, so who am I against? Like,
Really?
what just happened?
Yeah.
Um,
It's all a blur, right? Like, it's just,
yeah,
it's
it's
so
all a
far.
blur,
You don't know how you
and I
survived yet.
yeah, like no idea, like no, like no, I have some sort of idea. I also know like the struggle, and I also know like that like, yeah, and how I failed certain parts, like, I failed myself in certain way because I was just, like, trying to survive and that's it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I also know how I felt so much pressure yeah, of delivering of who I was before, and that's something I share now with, like, I have friends that are having babies, and I'm really like trying to tell them like I need you to think about this as if your identity is about to die and you're gonna have a new one,
Yeah.
and it's okay. It's okay. You'll be fine. It's
Yeah.
gonna be a shit show maybe or not. You don't know, but this identity is about to die, and we like I tell her I'm so happy. I'm embracing whoever is coming, and just know that whatever, you're gonna be okay, and if you
Yeah.
need help, just reach out. But I know that it's something I wish someone had told me. I'm like, you're about to die for whoever was and
Yeah.
whoever you thought you
Yeah.
were
It's a
is
completely different life stage, and you need completely different support systems. You need completely different, sometimes food, sometimes books, sometimes like time for yourself or time with, like, we haven't even talked about how do you manage that with balancing with a partnership, right? Like, that's a
yeah, oh
whole
my god,
other
that is still in the process.
yeah, exactly. Same. Same. It's like, I think at the core of it, the message around this is not a suicide mission.
Mm, yeah.
This martyrdom that we tend to do as women,
Mm,
guys, it's not needed. It is
yeah.
not needed, right? Like, you can still be a, a, a beautiful human being doing some things good enough and doing some things not at all and doing some things well. Choose what those are for you. Like, this,
Mhm.
like, make a choice and know that it's not going to be permanent because life is like, messy and
Yeah.
waiting and changing. Um, the ability to adapt is one of the best things you can learn to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And the other one around recognizing patterns, right? Patterns
Yeah.
in yourself, patterns in the people around you, in that order. is really important because, like, pointless to play the victim game and said that person is so and so, he or she made me do it.
Yeah.
Not really. Like, you have agency. Like, this is the joy. I say it to my kids all the time. This is the joy of being an adult is that you get to choose. Right? Like, you have choices. It may not feel like that in the moment because you're on the hamster wheel spinning, spinning, spinning. like slow down for me, like, or get off if you can for 10, 15 minutes and go, oh, okay, break time, right? Like this, it's such a gift of grace to yourself.
Yeah.
And then you can sort of have that meta view of how's my life going. Write that love letter if he's like, oh, well, I don't even know who I am. It doesn't matter. Just write something that's going to quiet that monkey brain, all that negative self-talk, reconnect. 10, 15 minutes, however often you can do it. Once a month, once a week, whatever.
Mm.
And know that it's gonna be okay. Like it really is. We live in a very, especially in Switzerland, a very luxurious life,
Yes, I mean,
right? And we
come
forget
on.
yeah, how privileged we are.
Yeah,
That our
absolutely.
suffering is worth less, right? Because we're living in a pretty privileged environment.
Mm.
Uh, that we don't have to set ourselves on fire to keep other people warm. It's not needed. Yeah.
Mm.
And we don't have to. I'm learning it now. Like you, like I wish someone had told me that. My mom did, but I didn't believe her. So it's my fault. It's totally my fault that I didn't connect the dots right then.
I mean, but do you know, sometimes I think you're also like, that's where you need also to have a grace is that you weren't at that conscious level, you know?
Yeah.
And it's okay. I mean, it is what it is. And I think that also I see it as well. It's something I'm very taken a lot is like when I'm like, yeah, connecting with people and so on, I do ask myself, okay, what's their conscious level? Because if I am a little aware of that, then I'm probably not going to get frustrated if they don't understand X, Y, Z, or if they tell me, as you know, if you really want, you can do it. I'm like, girl, I am okay. Don't tell me if I really want, I can do it. Okay, like there's I mean, have the same amount of time, but not the same amount of things around. So
Of energy.
yeah,
Like it's yeah, it's renewable, but only if you stop, right? Like you
exactly.
can't keep running 200 kilometers an hour and expect to make good decisions. You can't expect to be at peace with yourself. You can't expect to have deep connections when it's always run to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, right? Like whose permission are you waiting for to slow down? Like,
And
you know?
yeah, no, at the end when you just ask and you're like, "Well," and then there's no answer and you feel kind of stupid because you're like, so why am I doing it?
Yeah, we've all been through the stupid phase. Some of us did it more often than we would like.
Yeah, or not, or you are just more aware and conscious.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's how I want to see it. I want to see it as if, okay, it's just me like leveling up in the conscious level and just seeing that, okay, this was stupid from of me of doing
Yeah. I
and
mean, one thing that I see very often with the women I coach in my own experience and what you've shared as well is this sort of I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going. Like,
mm,
what's driving that, right? Like, you don't have to get to a burnout. I know a couple of friends. I met them after their burnout, but such deep physical burnouts that they are not
mm,
able to go back to work 100%, right? Like
yeah,
those are these are some of the possible end results if we're not paying attention to how we're operating in the world, right?
mm,
But it's I guess I'm kind of scaring people, and it's partially intentional. It's this gift of life that we have.
mm,
It's a it's a shame to take it for granted,
mm,
and it's really important to use it to your best ability in the stage that you are
mhm,
from an authentic place.
mhm,
Yeah. And that may mean different things to different people, and that's okay. Like
yeah,
there's no this cookie cutter version of what the perfect what again, sort of whatever noun you want to put in there. It's not the standard I don't think is the standard we should be reaching for. It's like, who am I? What do I want to do? You know, my last puberty phase I went through, which was 2 years ago, and I left corporate was like what do I want on my tombstone? I figure I go back to the morbid stage.
No, but at least you know, like, you make it meaningful because you know
Yeah,
it's an end,
yeah,
and therefore you like, okay, there is an end. Like, I need to
yeah,
remind myself there's an end. So let me be doing what I really want because
yeah.
there's an end to this.
Yeah, and I mean, it's borrowed from Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Effective People, right? Of highly effective people. Like,
Yeah.
start with the end in mind. And literally, I thought back then, sort of, if if I needed to create my tombstone now, what would go on it? And I go like, oh no, that's not what I wanted. Like, change something fast, right? And that's what I did. And like, I'm not saying everybody needs to scare themselves into it, but we know it. Like I've always felt it. The thing that I'm doing now around coaching and supporting women, like I've always felt that. I looked at my university transcript the other day because I'm going to do some further studies. And the topics that I got A's in, guess what? It was about human relations. It was about organizational relations. Like it's the thing that you can't see it here, but like on my bookshelf, the majority of my books are about that. The things that I'm doing with my free time, right? It's like I sat to yourself, like, what you get excited about doing in your free time. And that's a bit of a fairy dust signal to us. So, like,
Yeah,
what's your
absolutely.
calling? Yeah. And
You
see
know, through
if you can live that a bit more because it's, it's a whole other definition and experience of fulfillment than getting the next promotion. Maybe there's an overlap and then consider yourself the lucky 1%.
yeah,
Right. But like, it's there's the signals are always showing up. We just have to
yeah.
pay attention.
Absolutely. And this is a pattern that I'm seeing throughout this podcast of like talking with women
Yeah.
and them sharing is that there is always small little things that you've always been doing
Yeah.
that just fulfill you, but you don't do it, you don't take the leap of doing it into a greater scale.
Yeah.
There's
Scary.
I know, scary, financially, or it might may put me in the position, or what will people say?
Yeah.
Am I allowed? And the ones that start following it, you just see how it's just
Come
magic.
alive,
And
right? They come
yeah,
of my
exactly.
experience like, oh my God, I get to do this cool thing. I can in the beginning of setting up the business, it was like I would stay up until 1, 2 in the morning, like I did in my old job. But this time, like I woke up energetic. Like,
Yeah,
what is that about? Right? It's like it's
yeah,
in alignment with and then not overly esoteric. It's like, who are you? Like, what are you trying to contribute beyond sort of working for the man and like just like there's what's going to tap into your creativity, what's going
yeah,
to light you up, like what's inside that's trying to get out, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
do it scared, do it scared, it's okay.
Mm,
Yeah, and do it step by step, do a big bang, whatever version that allows you to make the first move.
mm.
Yeah. From momentum comes momentum, and you'll be surprised once all of the other distractions, for lack of a better term. Yes, consider your financial stability and your long term story. Like, be realistic as well. I'm not telling anybody to go quit their jobs tomorrow. If you feel a strong reason to quit your job, data point, right? What to do with that data point? Like, we all have it, and this I'll close with this letter. It was a line from my mom where she says, "We've all been given gifts, but some of us don't open up the package."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's crazy not to open that package,
Yeah.
like,
Well,
when you think about it, like, would I really look at a package and not open it? Like,
yes,
come on.
literally, yes, like there's no ticking going on inside the box or anything.
No, absolutely.
Once you're
And
sick,
you
you don't
mentioned
hear any ticking. You can open.
yeah, and you mentioned that, so 2 years ago, you had your puberty phase, how you call it. And is it when you decided to quit corporate and go independent?
Yes. Yeah.
And what triggered that puberty phase?
A couple of things. Um, One was for all the preaching that I've just done, I was behaving exactly like I said we shouldn't. Those are reality. Yeah, no, I mean, like, this is exactly the point. We all go through it, right? Where I was working long hours, I was in corporate. I had a very challenging work environment, and I had taken three 3 weeks off to go visit my family in Jamaica on vacation. So like, yay, finally I get some downtime, right? Looking forward to that vacation period. While I was on the way to Jamaica, I had a layover in Miami, and I got a phone call in Miami that my older brother had a heart attack and died. Yeah. So like, talk about life changing moments, right? So my intention, this is what I was saying, messy life. My intention: leave the mad work world behind. Go and spend time with my roots and my family and recharge and rest and come back ready, right? Um, I knew as well that I was thinking, okay, what happens in 2025? Yeah. So I was thinking about my career. What do I want to do next? All the time with sort of coaching and stuff in the back of my head, which I certified like 10 years before that. So I get to Jamaica.
10 years before this, you've certified already,
I
I
was
would.
certified and I was coaching
Okay.
ad hoc, but not like as a full blown story,
Okay.
right? So I only opened one of the ribbons on the ball. Really
Okay.
carefully. Yeah. No, my dream slash intention of going home, relaxing, disconnect from work was a very, very different reality. In the end, we were planning my brother's funeral. Um, I was happy to be there to support my mom. My father passed away many, many years ago, and be there to support his own family as well. He was only 53. Yeah. Um, and so like,
Yeah.
when I came back, I ended up spending 3 or 4 weeks there instead to be with the family and to mourn together and grieve together. When I came back, or on the way back to Switzerland, I'm sitting in this long haul flight and I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Like, what is this? Like, the message of it can change in an instant
Mhm.
was, it wasn't sort of like an Instagram post or in a podcast. It actually
Yeah.
happened in reality for us as a family. Um, and I came back to the um the job where some people had made decisions around what should happen within the program I was running, which I disagreed with. No one had consulted me. No one like this was like, what the hell? Like, what am I like? And the question I was like, what am I fighting for here? Like, at what
Mhm.
cost
Yes.
to myself do I continue doing this?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what if this is my last job? This last day, like last day meditation, right? What if this is the final opportunity I have to switch to something that is more fulfilling? A couple of those what ifs went through my head really quickly. Um, and I'm still mourning my brother, and he's taught me a valuable lesson of do it now.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Don't wait.
do it now. Don't wait. Don't wait for the perfect anything. Um, Risk are always going to be involved, but I decided that I'm going to go out with a bang. I say that with a laugh, with laughter, but I genuinely mean like it's not about going down fighting. It's about going down knowing that I came full circle back to that. What I said at the beginning, that those generations of women in my family have been
Mhm.
very, very clear about who they are, what they're about, how they contribute, and what tiny, tiny mark we want to leave behind.
Mhm.
Yeah. You've just gotten really full of it. Like it, I've processed a lot of it. Um, when you lose a loved one, whoever it
Yeah.
is, it's earth shattering.
Yeah.
And we all go through it from time to time. I lost my dad 20 years ago. It was also devastating then. Like, well, what do you want to do with that message that's coming through?
Mhm.
Right. So with that puberty phase, number 520,
Wait, I'm almost
right, yeah, see what 521 is going to be, right?
gonna be.
Right? Um, Permission granted is what I said to myself. Permission
Mhm.
granted from me to me to do the thing I've been longing for, to do the thing I have always felt aligned with, to do the thing that gives me joy, to spread the word. Like, it's not about perfection. It's not about rushing. It's not about them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yes.
about
You get,
you.
you get to define it. That's
Yeah.
you get to decide it. You have the power. You have the agency. Um, you have the ability.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I think it also is like you validating your confidence
Yeah.
that and trusting yourself to do it. And I think that that is it's a very I don't it's a very powerful thing to do.
Yeah. To know that the difference between repeating myself here, but it's really important. Confidence coming from internal acceptance and love
Mm.
versus it coming from external validation, which is a temporary, fleeting moment.
Yeah. But it's so hard because I look at social media, man, and I just I'm like, it is exactly what we shouldn't be doing, and yet again, it is just there and constantly feeding everyone. It's
Yeah.
in the house of everyone. It's in the hands of everyone, and that is just not the wrong. It's not the right um, validation we should be seeking.
And how do you handle that?
How do I handle it? I don't know. I mean, it's funny because it's something I've been thinking because I realize I don't the podcast has opened a few doors and with influencers and things like that, and I'm invited into places and and actually yesterday I was invited at a place and it was very nice. I really liked the person that was celebrating a new chapter and so on. And there was all these influencers, and I was just like looking like from a perspective of seeing them on my screen and seeing their content, and then now seeing them in reality. I I was like, I really don't want to do what you're doing. Like, I really don't want your job because
Yeah.
ultimately it is a job because it takes a lot of time. And I see it with the artists. I mean, like, oh my God, I hate having to post on social media because it's so time consuming. And I'm like, this is not where I want my time to go. But
Yeah.
that's another story. But I was observant of that. And now it's just like, I'm very grateful that I'm here.
Mhm.
But like that community, I don't know. I feel that it's so and maybe it's my impression, again, and maybe I'm like they're absolutely fine and joyful and,
Mhm.
maybe. But I was like, it made me feel sad to see them because I felt that it was so inauthentic. And like, you see them like so friendly on social media, and I saw them barely say hi. And if you say hi, they don't even answer.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what? Like, what's this fakeness? And like, why does your validation go through this social media and then outside in the real world, we can have a great conversation
Yeah.
and you're just so stoic, cold and closed. You know what I mean? And
Yeah. Yeah. So is there something that they're doing that I'm going to do a little bit of coaching with you? You know,
yeah,
for
got
me,
got it.
I can't help myself. Is there something that they're doing that you, with their approach to posting on social media that you admire?
um, I do admire the fact that they put themselves out there because it's something that I s- like I str- let's say I haven't given myself full validation. Like I'm giving myself validation because I'm obviously doing this podcast and I have to put myself out there. Yeah. And that was my first step. But it's not something it's very weird because I have this feeling that I should put more of me
Uh-huh.
and I am not fully comfortable with that.
Yeah.
The why I am not fully clear either, but I just know it's a sense, but I also sense
You know,
that it could
what's
be
the concern? What's the concern if you put yourself, you're
more.
smiling. What's that you put yourself out there more?
Um,
What's the challenge in it for you?
I think the challenge I think that it comes from my upbringings and where I wasn't given the permission to be loud and to be myself fully. And so I see it with my daughter mainly where, she will just explode and have that major like tantrum and I just let her and I'm like, it's okay. And I see and like that's like some reality check to me that I'm like, oh, clearly you did not have that girl. Like there is
Yeah.
no moment where you could actually.
So back then, like if you were loud, because you said you weren't allowed to be loud, so does that mean you tried it a couple of times and there was some ramifications for it?
I know. I think I was just very much, I needed to be very responsible very fast.
Okay.
And so because of that, I didn't have yeah, the liberty of being loud and just like boosty, and
A child.
yeah, a child. Like,
Forget having to be a child. You didn't have the chance to do that. And yeah, because like what child psychology will tell you is like if you are um you know, let's say not forced, but have to become an adult very early in your as a child, you take
Mhm.
on adult responsibility. So you're very there's a
Absolutely.
lot of structure, there's a lot of
Yes.
um early decision making, prefrontal cortex goes, if
Yes.
what are the consequences of my behavior? And in that moment, it was really important to do that. The question is, in the stage of life that you are now, you're smiling. My question, like, how is that working out for you? Is it now an Achilles heel that's limiting you, or is it really um, part of your value system? And sometimes the things that we've learned as children to survive or to thrive in that environment, it becomes their wiring. But as an adult, you actually don't need it to the same level. And
Mhm.
the retraining or reparenting that we
Mhm.
have to do, talk about hard work, is is the ultimate challenge, right? It's like, yeah, of course, there are influencers out there that are putting on a show, right? They talk about the
Mhm.
highlight reels and all of that.
Yeah.
Um, but there are also influencers out there that are authentic,
Yeah.
and it's a range. And you, in your adult self, can decide which version of that you
Yeah,
want,
absolutely.
right? So
I think
the permission you're waiting for to play in that space comes from.
and you're known from the childhood and all that. I mean,
I mean, like
trust
as
me,
an adult now, you get to say, okay,
I'm
this is going
allowed.
to be painful. I have a similar story. I have a love hate relationship with LinkedIn because I also had one of the values I learned as a child is be humble, right?
Mhm.
It is, my dad used to say, the higher the horse, the bigger the foal, that sort of thing. Now, humility is a really important um, value and behavior to have, right? Just
Mm.
stay grounded. Here's what I learned in the corporate world: being too humble means you're not seen. And you're not
Yeah.
seen, you don't get
You don't have
great projects, you don't get promoted, you don't get recognized, et cetera, et cetera. Now, there's a lot bundled into that, including in the validation, right? But I had to learn that that really important value passed on by my parents of humility wasn't, I couldn't apply it to the same degree in my adult life and still be successful. But it was my interpretation. None of them ever said, don't show your work. Not neither my parents.
Mm,
Quite the
mhm.
opposite, actually. But in my childhood, my interpretation and how I processed it back then was like, stay quiet, stay calm, don't ruffle feathers, like be humble. This just right. My interpretation, they didn't say that. And that's, you got praised. I got praised for being, okay, I'm older, Stephanie. It's not that you learn that as that becomes
Yeah.
your wiring. And now I
But
have
it's a difficult
learned.
balance, you know?
Yeah,
It's a
yeah. Welcome
difficult
to life.
balance of yeah, I know, right? That's what I see. That's what I because I also have that
Yeah,
humility side where like, I am no expert. So like
yeah,
I whatever I'm sharing is just like experience that I went through and interpretation and pattern
yeah.
recognitions that come from what I've went through.
Yeah.
And that
And
is what I'm putting into the table.
yeah, and it's tied into being the good daughter, good girl as well,
Yes,
right?
as well. Yeah.
So like I know when I see some of the influencers, I'm quite a bit of a gym rat because I think it's really important to be physically healthy to support the mental health and vice versa. So I watch a lot of these young female gym influencers, and I don't necessarily need to see them showing how to get a bigger butt exercise all the time. Like, it's just like, really, why? And then there are others that will show just the exercise, right? And it's like, you get to, they're both choosing which audience they
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
target with their behavior. And we both get to choose which audience we want to target. And like, if people who are interested in um, back view videos of a woman's butt, they will watch it, but I won't, right?
Mhm.
Again, coming back to agency. It's your brand. You decide how you want to put yourself out there.
Yeah,
And then we also know, like, it's a competitive market. So you can't afford not to put yourself out there.
I
It's
know.
balancing
That's
act.
the problem. That's my current struggle,
Yeah.
honestly. Is just that I'm like, okay, I know I have to put myself out there, but
Yeah.
at the same time, funny enough, is that I know there's magic there. Like I don't know how to explain it, but I just know that I can do magical stuff there. And I'm like, oh, am I gonna it's like, yeah, like opening the package. I know if I open the package, I'm gonna have like a new, like something that is just gonna make things magic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, yeah, but I have to like put myself out there. Like, oh,
So, yeah, open the package.
I'm like pulling slowly,
Three at a time.
gently.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Really
You
gentle.
get to decide. And this is where like the AI tools can help you, I think. I definitely have used like Claude AI to help me define my brand voice and my brand
Mm,
kit. And from that, and again, being really, really practical, like what do I want to put out there in the world?
yeah.
Right? Like, and what does that look like? Where am I sort of on the edge of my comfort zone that's going to give me a chance to grow, but still honoring my values,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And it's that sweet overlap of that Venn diagram where over time it will start to grow and always coming back to, am I being true to myself?
To myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, no. Not I don't know, but I like I'm a constant work in process. And you know what? The thing is that I'm so curious
Yeah.
that I reflect a lot, I observe a lot, and then I also reflect a lot on like what I'm thinking of like, "Huh, this is interesting. Why are you paying attention to?" Like, it's very like what people like, I'm just like thinking right now, people are gonna listen to this and they're gonna be like, "Boy, she's crazy." I feel because we are many in this head.
Yeah, yeah. And
That
it's a slippery slope to being the overthinker, right? So,
exactly, exactly.
and
Or
it's
the over
really
analyzing and
yes.
yeah.
And I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say if that's something you had to do as a child because you had to grow up quickly,
Yeah,
we're
of
trying to
course. I
kill the
mean,
wire in here.
absolutely, absolutely. I know that everything that I'm doing is a direct influence from my upbringings and the
Yeah,
things I've had to do and how I manage and how I control that and there's beauty in there
yeah,
because I see like because I have skills like pattern recognition, intuition, things like
yeah,
that you know I will meet someone and I'll be like, "Oh, this person is a bit shady, I'm pretty sure." And then next thing I know, something happens and it happens. And people are like, "How did you know?" I'm like, "I
yeah,
don't know. It's just my intuition." But I know it's because it's a
yeah.
muscle I've been working since like
Yeah,
forever.
absolutely. And then, like I can share this link with you for your audience as well, where you look at your strengths too, right? Like so you analyze your strengths and there are strengths that comes from learned behavior versus,
Yeah.
innate strengths. And then like what are the weaknesses there? And how much are your strengths actually feeding your values
Mhm.
versus it's learned behavior. So okay, I've always done it this way. I'm thinking of myself with humility. So okay, I'm gonna have to get over myself and start posting on LinkedIn because that's one of the key ways to grow my business, right? So like
Mhm.
I sort of like every time it's like, Susan, no, okay, I'm gonna do I press the buttons? Okay, do I press the button? And it's getting easier,
Mhm.
right? It,
Yeah, yeah.
it's
The
because you're
more
starting to realize the world doesn't implode when you do it. Like
no, no.
quite the opposite. This magic starts to unfold because like
Exactly.
finally you pulled another ribbon on the package and like you can see the thing inside and you go, oh,
I
it's blank.
exactly. Yeah, but that's exactly where I'm standing right
Yeah,
now. I'm like, "Oh
yeah,
my god, I see something, it's like shining. Oh my god, it's getting
yeah.
magical." But I'm like, slowly.
But I'm looking at you, right? I'm looking at you now and you're glowing when you speak about it, right? You're animated, you're glowing, your eyes are lit up. It's just like, how cool would it be to feel like that all the time when you're
I
awake?
know. I mean,
Or you're like dreaming about it. Like, it's like,
to be honest, it's kind of scary at the same time.
yeah,
Because you're like, "Oh my god, does this really exist?"
yeah, yeah. But like, what are you paying attention to, right? If it
Mhm.
feels good in this stage of your life, do it.
Yeah.
Honestly, just like it's gonna feel uncomfortable. We've all been there. We've been through it several times. It's not the last time you're gonna feel uncomfortable either, right? It's just like,
Yeah.
hey, how cool! I get to do this.
Yeah,
Okay,
no,
yeah,
no.
it's
No,
so
absolutely.
painful.
Like I'm going in, but like I'm tiptoeing because also because of like what you said, like like the upbringing, the influences, that the things. So that's why I'm also very conscious of that, and I'm like, if
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I
go,
rode for a couple of years, and I can tell you diving in is so much sweeter. I'm
well,
just
which
saying.
is funny, which is funny. You know what? Because I do cold plunge, and I definitely agree that like tiptoeing is the
Yeah,
worst. I should just you just need to
yeah,
enter the water
yeah,
and
yeah. I mean, there's a layer of adult responsibility, financial stability,
of course,
have a plan, have my,
yeah,
like but it doesn't have to be perfect.
yeah. No,
Right.
no.
The how do you the question for us when we feel that, we can see the shiny thing inside the package when we finally open up the ribbons, like how do you move from hesitation to execution now?
Mhm.
And it's we can we both love research. I can spend days, if not weeks, creating an amazing business case and a beautiful website and all my LinkedIn posts, my newsletter. I love doing that stuff because it's tapping into the creativity part of my value system, right?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
doesn't get me new clients. It doesn't get me discovery calls. It doesn't move the needle on how many clients I have or speaking slots I have. None of it, because it's me and my little bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that whatever that thing is that's shining on the inside, once you take it in, it needs to shine outside as well. This
Right.
is
Yeah.
what do I want on my tombstone,
Yeah.
right? Like it's about the distribution of that gift. It's not,
Mhm.
okay, I've got the gift and I'm gonna keep it for myself.
No, you need to share it.
You need to share it. And then it grows and then you have impact. And like, what are we all yearning for? Like, you're not doing this podcast for the fun of it, right? Like it's fun. It's
It
like
is on.
but there is a bigger story there for you, right? There's a
Yeah.
story of, hey guys, like women have stories to share. Like you're not struggling through this on your own. For my friends who have new babies, here's an experience that you can learn from, or at least listen to, right? To not feel so alone. Or for the ones who are the later stage of their career, like guess what? Like it doesn't mean the end of your life. Like the yeah,
Yeah,
and
you can start over.
it's this impact that you're creating with this podcast because you're allowing those rays from that little tiny thing to go out.
Hmm.
Yeah. Don't like unfold, like let it rip, like let them know you're here and you mean business. Yeah. Yeah. Like unapologetically you. Here I
Yeah, yeah,
am.
yeah.
Here I am.
Yeah.
Still learning. I'm still the unfinished product. We all are. We never get
Yeah, we're
it. The
all.
only time I said this to my coach once. What something had to happen to work for a couple of weeks. And I said to him, I am so sick and tired of learning life lessons. Because every time it's like, oh God, one more cocoon. I just can't think. But I thought I was done. I thought I had peaked. And he said to me, well, the only time the learning stops is when you're 6'6" in that box. And I go, oh,
Mm.
well, shit. Okay.
That's true, but that's so true.
Yeah.
And so right now,
Yeah.
you um you started obviously your own company
Yes.
through coaching, but what how are you coaching and who are you coaching and what is it that you're trying to to give to this world?
Yeah. So thanks for that question. So it's the company's called Wing Women. It's wingwomen.ph. And just like we've talked about, on my own experience and my what I've seen in many women's lives, there are different stages that we go through, right?
Mhm.
So like I have sort of programs that depending on the stage of life that you're in, we take you from, oh my God, I'm so scared, or oh my God, I'm so angry, or oh my God, I don't know what to do, to reconnecting with your values. Like, what's really important to you? How do you show up with those values in mind? It's like how to fulfill them in the environment that you're in. How do you go from, like for the woman in the middle stage where they've been in their career for, I don't know, 5 to 10 years, and they've achieved the next step. Maybe they have one or two kids, and then you're like, something feels off. Or
Mhm.
hey, I have this gift. I've opened the box and I can see this business idea that I want to do. So with my coaching for those 4 stages, what I do is there are programs that I help women to look deeper in that box, take that shiny thing out, like, okay, what do I do with this? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's what I firmly believe, and one of the reasons why I created Wing Women is I firmly believe that women can rise and create from anywhere, right?
Yes.
I've seen it. I like to about generation, my
Amen.
father and mother. I've seen it with my friends. I'm not saying it's easy, but that support system that it's customized for where you are and what you want and your dream and vision. That's what I do with coaching. And so it's like primarily focused on women. For women, they're like, life is messy, as I said. So I also have a case of like, okay, I've got this big thing coming up. There's this 4 week intensive package, right? Once a week, we go through that specific topic. So we're not trying to, there are less frameworks. It's more like, what do you need? What's going to help you to climb this particular mountain that's in front of you now? Yeah.
Mhm. And how did you build all those programs and vision to win women? Sorry.
Yeah. It's a combination of the experiences that I've shared with my friends and them with me.
Mm.
And through my 2 certification programs that I did collective coaching, and I've also done ORSC. ORSC is about organizational and relationship systems coaching, and
Okay.
collective is about individuals. So, like, it's not just, like, you're not in a bubble living on your own. Like,
Mhm.
you you go to the supermarket, there's someone grumpy that's dealing, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
respond to that. So it's a beautiful overlap of the frameworks of both of those programs that I've certified in,
Mm,
plus the messiness of life and how my experiences going through it. Um, one as an immigrant in this country, but also just like, gosh, I remember being in meetings where at the beginning of my career, I was the only woman, only non-white, only non-Swiss, only non-Army, like lots of onlys off. And
mhm,
you had to, I figured it out in the end. So with lots of trial and error, you like, how do you stay grounded in that?
mm,
And again, like speak from a space of strength. We're like, yeah, I know who I am, I think. in, the, in the beginning, I think I know who I am. And it's not like, and get better and better at that as the evolution goes by. Yeah.
mm,
um, I'm just very grateful to be able to share and to support women and their intelligence and their resilience to get
mm.
the next phase of their life.
So
So,
exciting.
yeah.
And it's so needed, honestly, it's so needed. And it goes a bit in hand with like this podcast because honestly, the reason why I wanted to do this podcast is because we don't talk enough about our transitions or our changes and our shifts in identities. That I see so many women that are, yeah, I'm scared or like just like this week I was at an event and there's this woman asked me, what do you do? And I told her I've done many things and I've done many things because I'm so curious, and I think that curiosity allows me not to, like, stop and be like, "Oh my god, but can I? Do I have the validation?" Like, I'm like, I just wanna do it." I'm like, "Oh, this that's cool. I'm curious. I wanna learn
Yeah.
more," and, like, I go for it.
Yeah.
And she was telling me, "Yeah, like, this is so cool. Oh my god, yeah, I've been 10 years in this position, and yeah, well, I wanna change, but it." And then I bluntly ask her, I'm like, "I'm sorry, but, like, what's stopping you?" And
Yeah.
she's like, "I don't know, it feels like a mountain."
Yep.
And I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Yeah, and it's difficult. I didn't, I could see, like, the mountain in her eyes, but yeah, I was like, "But no, like, remove that mountain."
Yeah. But like,
Or
it always looks easier on the outside, right? Like,
yeah,
so the thing with how I coach is like, okay, yes, there's a mountain there. Like, what's that made up of? Like, there's definitely, and I've lived there, we've talked about as well, the fears that we have about
mhm,
even just climbing that mountain. Like,
yeah,
some of it is, it looks bigger, it looks magnified because we're looking at it through the lens of fear.
yeah.
And it's fear is a valid emotion.
Yeah,
Right? Like, if you quit
absolutely.
your job and start something new and you'd have like just enough to cover 1 month of expenses, you should be fearful because that is,
Yeah,
that is not necessarily the easiest path, right? So how do you step back from that and go, in this space that I have, here's what's working. Here are the challenges that I have. I had a client the other day, she was talking about the relationship she had with her father and how her father was always um a connector and the center point of for the community.
mm,
And but for her, she's more of an introvert. So she had this other emotional story in her head of, am I living up to my father's expectation? Yeah.
mhm.
And that is, it's like hidden deep in there, some
In
like
the subconscious,
corner
yeah.
of the mountain, right? Like, if you unpack that, what are you giving yourself permission to do? To be different from what dad was? Is that okay? Oh, I'm not sure. Like, is dad gonna still say I'm a good daughter if I do it different from him?
Mm,
Yeah. So it's all so tied up into many aspects of who we think we are supposed to be.
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so this permission and what I would work with a woman is like, how do you give yourself permission to be who you actually are?
Mm.
Yeah. And it's sort of,
Which is crazy, no, Stephanie, that we're asking for permission to be who we
yeah,
are. I mean,
yeah,
that is, yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
crazy.
It's crazy. It's partially systemic. It's partially generational trauma that's been passed down as well.
Mm.
All sorts of things have happened in the past to get us to where we are. And it doesn't mean we need to stay there.
No,
I've
absolutely.
experienced it. You're now experiencing it. Like, oh gosh, it's so freeing. Um, to when you like, okay, so I'm gonna unfold my wings now and take up space.
Yeah.
It's like there is nothing that I've experienced that's similar to doing that. Just as
Mm.
like, wait, like you're in my way. Can you get out of my way? I need to expand my wings, right?
I need to
And that will
expand.
need different things to different people depending on the stage that they're at. I'm like, okay, just start doing that. It's like just spread a little bit and see what it feels like. You know, and those are tired muscles or not been used in a while, so it's gonna feel heavy, heavy.
Mm.
We're like, okay, let's just practice. Like, what's the one tiny thing that we can start doing, saying, believing that's gonna build that muscle slowly over time? Or if you want to
Yeah.
do the cold plunge deep dive, we can do that too. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
But no, listen, I mean, I was looking forward to this conversation because I know you have a lot of wisdom, and I love, 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 love sharing with people that, yeah, that have that wisdom, and I can see it, and
Yeah.
I, it echoes, and I was just like, oh, this is so nice, and yeah, is there anything that we didn't talk about that you think is worth mentioning?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. How much time do you have? Like,
We go for as long as you want.
I think there's one thing I sort of slightly mentioned it before around it's not about being anti-men, right? Or anti-men. Um, I have two sons and a
Yeah,
husband. So I live in a household of men, and I work really hard on understanding what their perspective of the world is, especially for my sons, right? Like
yeah,
they're 19 and 21, and like they're growing up in the space of what is a man, and they hear about sort of toxic masculinity and you know, what it means to be a gentleman and how are they supposed to get their head around what women want and don't want, etc.
mhm,
etc.
mhm, mhm.
Um it's really important that we don't ostracize in order to um feel freedom.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, absolutely.
yeah, I mean, you talked about your 6-year-old son before. Like I'm sort of doing black and white versions of the binary versions of the gender, but like there is a space there where collaboration between both sides needs to collaboration is the wrong word. Healthy, honest conversations
For sure. Yeah,
need to happen.
yeah.
It can happen with our sons, it can happen with our brothers, with our
Mm.
partners, with our coworkers. Um, some of them get really, really scared when a topic comes up. and and that is just like that's what I've experienced anyway. And that's okay.
Mm,
And, like, how do we there's something there for me about how do you bring people along with you
yeah.
while you're rising, right? Like you as the individual. If, you know, like my sons know exactly what my triggers are when they start talking about anything around females, um, or about balance or equity. Like
Mm.
my other biggest value around equity, they do it as like a poke the bear and see how she responds kind of thing, and then I respond, and then they run to the hill because she's responding. Um, I think like while we're there's it's the priority is to show up authentically for yourself first. This is what
Mhm.
I've learned. Like for me, this is where I am now. I don't know where I'll be tomorrow or next year. Um, And in doing that, how do we encourage other women, but also other men, whatever the age range,
Yeah.
to be in that space with us? Because
Yeah.
we're teaching generations of women to, stand
To
down, be
run.
here,
Yeah.
take my, yeah, you take the steering wheel, but we're not necessarily teaching men how to sit
I don't know.
alongside that.
Yeah.
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 And that could come back to bite us. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
we're rising and they're like, well, we feel disingenuous or we feel ignored or we feel whatever. It's like, how do we teach, how do we exchange in a healthy way with them what this means and how they can process that, understand it? Not all of them will agree. Not all women agree either, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm on a personal mission to take my sons with me so that they can be the kind of men in when they hit their careers or whatever they end up doing, uh, that they understand when women like us speak about the challenges that we have or the goals that we have or the need to not be the good girl, or like you said to your former CEO boss, like, I'm gonna say no. And you need to
Yeah.
be okay with that. And for my sons then to go, yeah, I'm okay with that. I encourage that. I'm gonna
Yeah.
say no to as well. Right. Like how do we build both up without
Yeah.
ostracizing one or the other group?
I think that's such a struggle, and honestly, it's something I have in mind as well because and it's so interesting you mentioning that because I went on a weekend with some girls,
Hmm.
friends, very very close friends, where we have these conversations and there's no judgment. And it was so interesting because I don't know how we came to it, but we were talking about dating
Hmm.
and of like, if the guy pays at the first date or if he doesn't pay.
Yeah.
And it was so interesting because there was one side where like, well, no, why is he going to pay? And then there was the other side where like, no, but I mean, it's nice if he pays, it shows. And like the argument, it was just like, oh, it shows genuine interest. And, it's like, it's being a gentleman. It's not necessarily that you cannot pay, that you're not a
Yeah.
fool. And then on the other side, it was like, no, but like it comes from a weakness, identity of like, oh, you need to be taken care of. And I found it so interesting because
Yeah.
we are in our 30s, we are married, we
Yeah.
have kids,
Yeah.
and I said like one of them is pregnant, she's gonna have a girl, and the other she has a little boy, and I said, okay, but so what are you gonna teach your son? Like, what are you thinking to teach your son? Because this actually it's a question I'm asking myself.
Yeah.
What do I teach you? Do I teach you to pay or do I teach you not to pay?
Yeah.
Taking that basic example.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, no, I'll just teach him the values, respect and and I'm like, yeah, but so it falls under the respect as well, maybe, because for
Yeah.
him, maybe it's a respectful way to pay the first
Yeah.
drink or dinner, whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's the thing about values. And it applies to corporations as well as individuals. Just having a list of words that says, here are my values, means absolutely nothing.
Mm.
It has to translate into behaviors, right? Like, what does that mean when I say to my son, um, respect is a value in this household?
Mm.
This is like, okay, respecting women is important. Like, what does that mean? Like,
Yeah.
when
How
she's
do you show it? How do you
how do
practice?
you do it? How do you know when you're not doing it? Because
Yeah.
it's the words are so easy to write,
Mm.
regardless of what topic it is. Like, but
Mhm.
how do you practice that
Yeah.
in a consistent, aligned way where
Mhm.
you're, like, I get a bit preachy about this as well with myself. It's like, y- because you're trying to make an impact. You're trying to be a bloody decent human being.
Yes, no, exactly. That's why I find
Gender.
it's it's a struggle, honestly, and I have more, like, I question myself so much more with my son because I'm like plus, also my daughter has her character. I'm like, I know you're gonna be fine. And also there's this like movement
Yeah,
happening that is very strong. And I see that men also are very much struggling. And I'm like, how do I help?
yeah. So
And
there
it's
great books out there for what men are dealing with at the moment,
mm,
and whether that's young men or old men, it for women like us who are on a mission to educate and to challenge, right, and have men in our lives, reading reading how the other side experiences life is really important.
mm,
Yeah, and from that, and there's one called of Boys and Men. Um,
okay.
and I listened to, I can't remember the author's name at the moment, but he was talking about young men. So it was the ages of my sons. And he said, ask a young man, what's the best thing about being a man in this world or a young man in this world?
Mm,
A really, really simple question. Um, for privacy's sake, I won't say what my son said, but like, it's, it's not what we think. We're
mm,
looking at life through our lens, our experiences, our
yeah.
learned behaviors from childhood, right?
Mhm,
They're on their own paths as well. Right? So like there's something there around understanding how the others live and having those conversations. And I don't think it's our job to convert anyone. I mean, like, gosh, that's such a hard task. Right.
yeah, yeah,
It's already hard enough trying to figure out what we want to do with our own.
yeah, exactly.
I think that the honest, authentic conversations with boundaries is what we need to do. Yeah.
Mm,
Never stop sharing with your son. Never stop saying, "Hey, what does that mean when you said it makes my head hurts?" Like, never stop saying also to your daughter, "Hey, what's going on? Like, why are you so angry?" Or what, what's the cool thing that you're looking forward to tomorrow?
yeah.
Them to connect with themselves and then starting to teach them empathy, right? That's
Mhm.
gosh, and like nowadays, like it's such a struggle to find real examples of it.
Yes, I know. And it's so sad because such a I don't know. It's just, I think it should be something. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, how do you not feel for the other, or try to put
Yeah,
yourself in their shoes?
yeah, yeah.
Um,
And look,
but
their generation, they're they're different categories. Let's just say generations, but definitely the older generation of men are have it harder to get their head around this, what's happening within the female space because it feels excuse me, it feels threatening, right? They don't know what
yeah,
to do with that. Always had power. Nobody likes to lose power, regardless of whatever environment they're in.
mm,
Um, and it's hard to gain power in that sort of structure as well, right? I think we have a chance with mm, Gen Z, maybe millennials a bit, but Gen Z and younger, where we can engage a bit more. Um, I'm very, very optimistic on that side, despite the Andrew Tates of this world. Yeah. Uh, that might get you more listeners on this call now. But,
no,
but
you know what? No, I am a bit more hopeful because I know we're trying more. And when I look at the leaders in today's world, I'm like, clearly you didn't have any empathy or like any, like
yeah,
hard conversation, genuine conversation and that's the result of that. Like,
yeah. And their kids, our kids are watching, right? Like, so I'll pick on you again with your 6-year-old son. He's watching how you interact with your husband
mm,
and vice versa. Just like we watched our parents, whatever that layup had looked like, we learned what a relationship is by the behaviors that they did. Not the words they said, the behaviors, right?
yeah.
Like, oh gosh, it's like they're always watching. Yeah, welcome to parenting. And one aspect of like and this feels uncomfortable. Was the last time you said to your husband, "No, I'm not doing that," or "No, that doesn't work for me right now," or him saying, well, whatever the setup is, like they're always observing and absorbing that as the lay of the land for them. Okay, and the course corrector you need to discuss, like not making it an adult conversation with a child, but like age appropriate, maturity appropriate of it's like what's going on. Like teach teach your sons to feel and understand emotions and be able to express them in a healthy way.
Mm. Yeah, no, no. I try. That's why I was like trying to question my son, and then I was like, okay, maybe he doesn't have the words yet.
One voice in my head.
But
I don't have voices in my head. I have your voice in my head.
exactly. I was like, okay, never mind.
Yeah,
Fine.
and it's absolutely okay to catch a quick reverse gear in any of these conversations. Be like, timing is important. Mood is important, like yours. Like you got to be in the right mood to take all of these conversations.
No,
That are quite deep
absolutely.
and
But yeah, he just caught me out of board, like, when he said that, I was like, "What? What do you mean it hurts?" Um, but, um but yeah, no, I think yeah, yeah. Boys, it's a very important topic, and I think it's a very, yeah, it's what I feel it's a bit that it's very polarized as a subject, and I think it's very easy. It's just again, and it's easy, but at the same, it's so complex because it's a matter of communication
yeah,
and and sharing and having genuine empathy and trying to understand the other person perspective, yeah, where they're coming from, and yeah, and I think it's a bit I mean, it is something for me. It's something I have in the back of my mind for them because I'm like, I don't want them to. I don't want my son to suffer, not know his place, worry, tiptoe as well. Like that's you shouldn't be tiptoeing around. Like, what am I going to do if I say this? If I don't say this, it's should be, yeah, a conversation. Like it should flow
yeah.
and it should be okay to ask, "Hey, are you okay with me doing X, or are you okay with that?"
Yeah. Yeah. We have to teach them the language around it. So how they can express themselves. There's some amazing work from Brown around emotions and mood.
Yeah, I love her.
Yeah, I'm such a huge fan. Um, and like if angry, it not actually it's the umbrella emotion of what angry and sad, I think were the most popular
Yes.
emotions that were named of all the people she surveyed. And like, well, there's more to it than that. Like sometimes if I'm disappointed, I'll be angry, right? So the
Yeah.
true emotion is disappointment. Yeah. It's sort of like, let's break this down. Like what's going on? Again, age and maturity level appropriate, right? You wouldn't talk to a 6-year-old or a 5-year-old like that. But for my sons who are, late teens and into 21, it's like they're gonna get like a whole lot of
They all get this close feel.
and they'll be rolling of the eyes and there'll be whatever. But I really, really think like um
But you
and
see it,
we're not
you
talking-
mention it, and I think that's the most essential part. They might roll their eyes and be like, "Oh,
yeah.
mom, again." But just like you did when your mom gave you wisdom.
Yeah. Like, or whatever, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think it is definitely important to mention it
Yeah. In
and
small
talk
digestible
about it.
portions at the end of the
Yeah.
day. Like again, coming back to it's not a suicide mission for any of this, right?
Yeah.
I think that the place that we can control is within us. The place that we can influence is within our immediate circle of family and friends. And the rest of it outside of our control, really. And the minute we accept that, the easier our life then generally tends to become.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, listen, thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you so much. It's
for
an
all
amazing
the
conversation. I think I
I
could talk
know,
to you for 3 hours.
I know, me too, but I'm like just conscious of time and I'm like, okay, well, but yeah, no, thank you so much for sharing all that, yeah, sharing your journey, sharing this crazy life changing shifts, and thank you also for taking the risk of doing what you want, because that gives also other people, um it shows other people that it's okay to do it. And that, I think that's really important. So
Thank
thank you
you
so much,
so much.
Stephanie.
Yeah, it was a beautiful conversation. Can't wait to hear more of your podcast as well. Like,
Yeah,
keep doing what you're doing. It's such important work, really.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Open up that box and dive in.
Very well.
I know.